Mark Cannon, you've got to fucking sort yourself out, mate. You can't organise a big bunt up in a bottle. You have 8 months to sort out a manager, you can't do it. So what we're going to do is now, me and my mates now, are going to sort the manager out for you.
Messi. Messi! Oh my goodness! Balotelli! Aguero! Oh, that is extraordinary! What a headshot! What a hit! Back of the net.
Hello, and welcome to the Not a Pundit podcast. You are in for an absolute treat as we have a full roster. Nate, Connor, and Rob. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Well, I gotta say I'm probably better than the two men, but I'll let them have their therapy session in a wee bit. How are you, mate?
I'm good. I am rushing in the door, record a podcast. You know, that's commitment, but not as committed as Nate doing this from the European continent.
Oh yeah, Amsterdam. A few points in me so far, so my opinions might be a bit skewed this week, but we'll see.
You say that as if they're not every week.
Come on now. I only give wisdom and knowledge, you know what I mean?
And Rob, how are you? Obviously, you are the grown-up of the group. You have a child to look after, and yet you make time for little old us.
His other kids.
Yeah, I was only getting used to looking after myself, and now I have to look after the child and then you guys as well. So, yeah, I'm good, Killian. Thanks.
Great to have you on board to keep us right and ready this week. So we will get on to United and Anthony's scumbag antics later, but I wanted to actually put this out to you because this has caused ructions in the English punditry world, and I just wanted to get your opinion on this. Nottingham Forest, with the tweet that broke the internet, forget Kim Kardashian, her arse could never match the vitriol that this has brought into football. I think it's just angry old men shouting at clouds, lads. What do you think?
Oh man, I'll be honest. I know multiple pods have been talking about it, and everyone in the press has, and everyone's a lot of people have said the same thing, that they thought it was a parody account, but I truly did. It's one of the most, in my opinion, unprofessional, immature, short-sighted, and embarrassing public statements a professional club has ever made. Whatever you think internally, and I'll be honest, I personally think Mark Clattenburg wrote that because he wouldn't have doubled down on it after it had he not. But it's truly embarrassing. I don't know about you boys.
I want to know who's tweeting that. I really do. It's like halfway through a game. It's like, who's making the call? Lads, get on the Twitter account, get that out now. It's the most bizarre thing ever. And yeah, to be honest, it doesn't make them look good. But them 3 penalties were horrors. Let's be real.
Oh, they were right rotten. But Rob, what are you saying on it?
I am just so sick of talking about referees. We have this league, this Premier League is meant to be the greatest league in the world. These players are at the absolute peak of their performance, and then all we do each week is talk about referees, and it's just got to the stage where it's just completely out of control. If you are relying on this nonsense to finish above Luton, you just have to finish 1 point better off than Luton. Maybe they'll get another point deduction. Maybe that's what Forest are worried about. But it's just ridiculous. It lowers the tone of everything, and it's just then this guy Marinakis, the Forest owner, has a history of going after referees. So I just think it's ridiculous. Then Clattenburg's involved, another kind of spoofer, and then Neville and Carragher double down and react even harder against it. I think Neville compared it to a mafia statement. I didn't realise the mafia release statements. So I just sick of it, honestly. I don't even know what is a penalty or what isn't a penalty anymore.
That's what I was going to say. Of the 3 of them, I mean, they all definitely could be penalties. I think there's 2 Stonewall ones in there.
Yeah, I thought the first one's a bit of a 50-50. It was kind of you could see it given, but also
the final 2 though,
Can we just appreciate the shithousery of Ashley Young? The fact that it was him for every one of them, and then him tweeting that he was listening to Cry Me a River by Justin Timberlake. Like, that is a near 40-year-old man. That man has kids. I
love that
respect that
shit.
man so much.
But
But
lads, I don't
it's
know
one of
about
those
you.
ones.
Just quick. I don't know about you, but like this might be a bit rogue, but like these referees need to start getting called out because the decisions are horror. Like it's to the point where like a penalty can happen in say a United game, whatever. And you can go and look at 3 different other penalties that weekend that didn't have the same decision. It's like how hard is it to achieve a tiny bit of consistency?
I think it's always been bad. I just think now that we have VAR, we expect it to be better. So I don't even like the standard refereeing has probably got, on average, Nate, don't jump down my throat, it's probably got better. I just think it looks a lot worse. There was probably the same amount of mistakes as there's ever have been, but we just think that VAR is just this thing that's going to fix everything. And when it doesn't, or when it's not consulted, people just absolutely lose their mind. So I just bring it back to VAR. If VAR wasn't there, it would just be a bad refereeing decision. Now it's become like it's a conspiracy. Like the VAR is a Luton fan. Like, yeah, like of course he's a Luton fan. What are we going to do? Not have referees who don't support football at all? I just think it's just absolute nonsense. Like,
My thing is, if they have the capability to look at the replay,
Exactly, yeah.
that's when it's, I totally agree with you. Like, if there's no VAR, we'd have to live with decisions like that because the ref is not as close to all of them as he probably should have been. That's a different conversation. But when it comes to having that capability, either use it and have VAR in existence, or if we're not going to use it, let's just not have it at all, because it's like it's just so annoying when they've look. I support neither team. I truly don't care about in the reality of those penalties. It's more for the love of the game, and it just I one thing as much as we jump on refs, I don't want to see refs get like relegated into the championship based off one decision. I think that's not fair. But and I think you're right. Like, look, I think the VAR is putting a magnifying glass on poor decisions that were ultimately going to always happen. But for me, it's just that annoying bit when it's right there. It's like, just go to the screen, and when they go to the screen, they're not overturning it. It's just happening.
See, I think this is ultimately where the problem actually is, and I think the tweet, to me anyway, seems out of like desperation, and using the Luton fan thing is more kind of like, well, you aren't listening to us about anything else, so I'm going to throw something at this and see what sticks. Because like, it was only 3 months ago that Mike Dean said he didn't want to go to VAR because his mate would get given out to. Like, this whole refereeing cabal is just in it for themselves. So I don't want to see any ref relegated to the championship. Because give it 2 weeks and we will not have any more refs in the Premier League at this rate. Like, I think they've gone so long without being questioned that to be questioned now is this kind of travesty that, like, we always say that we want football and refereeing and the treatment to be more like rugby. But the difference with rugby is rugby refs are held to account by the cameras. They never try and hide anything. There's never kind of, they don't come out and say they don't want their mates to get given out to, so I'm not going to. Everything is there for everybody to see. Here's my decision, and you can see why I made it. You may not like it, but like, it's just so bad. And like, to be honest, I never really had that much faith in Howard Webb becoming the boss, considering he was Ferguson's right hand man for guts of a decade now.
But one of the things, okay, is there's no excuses now because it is right in front of them. Like, it's either these referees are up to standard and can spot it, or they can't. Like, it's simple. Like, in my opinion, they should be relegated because if it's right there in front of you, like, make the right decision. That's what you're paid to do.
I don't think straight off the bat they should get relegated. I think it should be like a 3 strikes you're out job.
Yeah, but also when it's number one, I don't agree with the tweet. Number two, the Luton part has zero relevance in my opinion. But lads, we're talking about 3 decisions here. Like, how is a VAR messing up 3 decisions? Like, to me, all 3 of them are penalties, and that's debatable, of course. But they are hard. Like, I don't understand how he cannot give at least one of them a penalty. Like, I really don't.
We've seen all three given for sure.
But how do you not give one?
Oh
Like,
yeah, no, it's an abomination. Like,
surely in the third one you're going like you're at least in your head going, come on, like we got to give him one here, like.
I just can't move past this Forest owner, just the nonsense of like just like I just want to take a step back. Like, yeah, the referees aren't great. A lot of mistakes, like that comment by Mike Dean was ridiculous, and it does give you insight into their thinking. Howard Webb, like he seems to be very much like this is the guy who didn't send off Nigel de Jong in the World Cup final for like attacking
for genuine assault, like
like, because he didn't want to send someone off in a World Cup final. You're like, what? That's not logic at all. So I think you can accept the referees aren't great, but I just can't move past this Forest owner and this nonsense and this conspiracy in his head that someone's out to do them. Like, mate, you've spent over 100 million. You've bought probably 50 players, and you're 1 point above Luton, who have like literal soccer aid players in their squad, like Andros Townsend and Ross Barkley. I just think we need to. The referee talk for me. I know I work in the media. I get the race for this, and I understand that people are interested in it. But when you take a step back, you're just like, what in the name of God are we doing here? Like, this is meant to be football. We're meant to be talking about football, and all we're doing here, we're talking about. Yeah, I've had enough of it, and I'm sick of VAR. I would just completely scrap it. The referees probably aren't going to get much better. They're probably the best they're going to be, and I just think just scrap VAR. It's just not going to work, and it just leads to this nonsense basically.
I agree with certain parts of that, yeah, but like these clubs are fighting for their life. Like this is a huge. There's a lot of money involved in this. It's
true, Nate. Sorry to go across, Nate, but them getting relegated is not going to come down to this decision.
No, but like it's stopping them from getting 3 points that go towards their survival. It's like, to be honest, I'd struggle to sit there and be quiet when it's 3 outrageous decisions not being given. Like I don't understand how at least like something in the background could not be playing if the referee can't give a penalty for
I think you need to take out the relegation side of this. It's whether it's a nothing game or whether it's a game to get a Champions League place, win the league, whatever it is. It's just not acceptable how poor it was. You know.
No, but I think the relegation part played into the tweet coming out though. Like I don't think if that happened to a Newcastle United, a tweet comes out, or a mid-table Brentford for that matter. But
I don't even think you see that in League One. Like it was just.
I think it is the relegation. Like
I think it's what kind of like what I said earlier. It's that bit of desperation. It's that kind of like we have to try something here because we're not being listened to at all. But to be honest, lads, refereeing aside, I thought what was more egregious was the hypocrisy of those criticising the tweet. The likes of Gary Neville, the likes of Jamie Carragher. Jamie, I spit at little girls Carragher, and Gary Neville, who once said that La Liga is completely corrupt. Or who was the other one? Was it Frank Sinclair or somebody? Like all these ex-players coming out and said, oh, you should never be able to say that, and being the ones that have said it before. The whole thing is a bloody joke.
It's their Tinder though. Like, I mean, that's the Tinder to their fire. Like they dream of comments like that coming out because it gives them their 5 minutes of that Sky Sports can or TNT or whoever can clip up. But like, yeah, Carragher has his own things from back then when he did spit at that girl. Like, what more does me in, and you're seeing it across multiple sports and especially in the US. There's more money for refs now as being talking heads on telly than there is through being in the game or being in the FA. And that is a major problem.
It's like being president of the United States. Like, do you make the real money when they retire, Connor? Write their memoirs.
Get all the speaking engagements.
You just have to get through all the nonsense before that, and then you can make the good money.
But lads, I think one of the big things here is, and we shouldn't forget, is these lads criticise people on the weekly. So, like, what's wrong with criticising referees? These lads sit here and criticise players, managers, anything to do with football week in, week out. I think they need to have a bit of introspective looking to do with.
No, see, Nate, it's different. They're doing it from a place of love.
Yeah,
they care.
It's just like it is. It's hypocrisy, like.
And to be honest, it's so annoying. Like I endured Gary Neville giving out about like, oh, it was different back in the day. Ferguson used to go out and do it in press conferences because that's the way to do it. No, at that time, people criticised the likes of Ferguson and Wenger coming out and criticising in press conferences because that's not the way you're supposed to do things. This is just a modern evolution of it, and all these outlets just whinging about it is what yous were doing 20 years ago was the new thing then, and yeah, you had old people like yous are now whinging about it then. Just so
I
infuriating.
I agree and disagree. Okay, I think there's a difference when a manager comes out and criticizes rather than the tweet that we saw. It's like someone needs to put their name on that tweet. You know what I mean? Because then it becomes more like more acceptable. I don't know, but it's who's saying it and why they're saying it. You know what I mean? Like when a manager says something in a press conference, you know it's coming from the manager. Here we don't know. Like that could be a Twitter admin that said that. It probably isn't, but like we don't know.
I totally agree with that because, like, that was the thing with Fergie. Although he crossed the line many times, and look, so did any high-profile manager that's been in the hot seat has done it, especially in yesteryear. But at least then, like you said, like you knew who it was, you knew they were going to get fined, and you knew there was going to be ramifications. While this, like you said, I highly doubt it is an admin. If it is, Jesus, good luck in your next week of work. But at least if that was even a video of, say, Clattenburg, the owner, I don't know who. There's more. You put a face to it. You give it a bit more legitimacy, in my opinion. Still a terrible idea, though.
Like, let's not forget. Like, I think this is another thing as well. Like these rose tinted glasses. Ferguson's the one that stopped speaking to BBC for like the guts of a decade. Like there was toys thrown out of plenty of prams before. This is just a new, easier way of doing
But
it.
we knew Ferguson was the one throwing them out of the pram. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I know it sounds tiny, but I think that's a huge difference. I don't know about you, Rob.
Yeah, I can definitely like it's at least Ferguson did it in a subtle way. So Ferguson was always trying to influence referees, opposition managers. So when he did it, there was always a purpose behind it, and that's not defending him. I just don't see what good will come from tweeting like a maniac like this. It's not going to influence anyone. It makes them look ridiculous. Ultimately, what do they want? They want favourable treatment, more favourable treatment from the referees. They're less likely to get it now. Whereas Ferguson was always very much about control and power. So if he said something, there was a purpose behind it. Not that it made it any better. Like the images of United players surrounding referees are famous. Like they were always at it. Like, and this has always been the case. I think this was more something you'd see in Italy or Spain. This obsession with the referee, it was definitely more prone to Spain and Serie A, but it crept in massively into the Premier League now, and I just don't see what they're going to achieve from just tweeting nonsense, really.
I do think it kind of shows a little bit of a double standard to how the media treats teams at the top end and the bottom end of the table. This is scandalous and cheap and terrible from Nottingham Forest, but Klopp coming out asking for a replay because of a decision going the wrong way.
But again, there's a face to it, and it's as pathetic as it looks. That's an angry man.
When we're talking about sporting directors as if they're transfers, clubs are becoming homogenous, so it doesn't actually matter if there's a face to it anymore, because like we are talking about this, like we've talking about all the people it could have been. The owner, Clattenburg, not the manager, realistically. So we know who it is, and ultimately, I think it's actually more important that we're talking about what the owners and all saying, because don't forget, they all vote together. Managers don't. That manager that comes out and is trying to influence something, he could be gone in a week's time. The owners aren't, and they're the ones we should be listening to, if nothing else.
But we don't know if the owner green lighted that. You know what I mean? Like that, I just said that could have been Clattenburg just tweeting. Like,
can you imagine if
don't
he did?
actually know?
We all
think it was the owner.
We all
was
work
the
in
owner.
media. We know,
Yeah.
like Clattenburg's not getting a Twitter password on his first day. That's not how these things work. But bear in mind, this is the same owner that has also released a player from Olympiacos, so he can go on a free transfer to Nottingham Forest to get around transfer windows.
Yeah, that's smart business.
This dude will do whatever he wants. So if he wants to be tweeting from it, it's going to be him, or he's going to have some poor 18-year-old intern just going, listen, make this into English and post.
Yeah, it's the
Guarantee that.
owner. It's the owner. He has a history of going after referees. Like it's one. Like who else in the Premier League is going to hire a referee to work for you? Like it's not. Jim Ratcliffe won't be doing that for United. Like it shows how paranoid he is.
That's a very good point because I like it. You know, it's not even one of those ones where a couple of clubs decided to do it. It was that's a one off, and not even anywhere around Europe do you see it. Like it's literally he's a one of one.
I think you're going to see a lot more of this, and if nothing, they've achieved opening up the conversation at the right end of the table, because usually we're only ever whinging about these things when it affects one of the big teams.
But
So
lads, some of the
I
decisions.
applaud. Oh no, that's what I mean. If it was happening to Arsenal, City, United, Liverpool, we would have been talking about these decisions without a doubt. And the only reason we're talking about these decisions that went against Forest is because of the tweet. So fair play, Nottingham Forest. You've got what you wanted, and I applaud you.
But nothing. To see, my thing is what it is. There's channel, regardless of the tweet. Even there's the official channels to do it, where you lodge complaint to the FAI, not or FAI, Jesus, FA. But nothing's going to change off the back of either of those things.
Wait, it will though, because did you see the tweet today? Who Luton's next referee is? A Notts County fan. I'm not messing. He's genuine Notts County fan.
Absolutely class.
I thought you were going to say Mark Clattenburg was the next ref.
To be honest, lads, if nothing else, I think it's opening up a very, very healthy conversation that kind of gets into the weeds, where VAR or no VAR, whereas now it's kind of calling in question referees, which is, we have to accept VAR is here to stay. So
well, they've put too much money into it. But my problem is with these things, and all the clubs are are part of this, and any of the talking heads, every single person, including us, is just throwing, these are the problems. I haven't heard anyone suggest a solution. No, none.
Well,
None,
I think
I gave a solution a long time ago.
There needs to be strikes. Like, there needs to be repercussions for referees making bad decisions. Like, it happens in any other job on the planet. If you're bad at your job, you get talking to about it. Like, there needs to be a strike system or something where referees need to know that every single decision they make holds a consequence.
I think just need to scrap VAR. I really think
I don't think
it would make things so much better. I really would.
I don't think it would, to be honest.
Oh my god, football was so much better before VAR. It really, really was, Nate. Trust me, it was so much better. Trust me.
listen to your elders. Myself and Rob are the old codgers that were around long before this existed.
And
there's no going back.
Yeah, there's not. And to be honest, I think I would rather get to a stage where we're closer to rugby, more tech, and
being able to hear them live, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Accountability is the issue with refereeing right now. The lack of accountability. Like, if that ref was mic'd up and everybody was hearing their decisions, they would damn well want to stand beside them. Because what's happening now is to be honest, I think half the time VAR is just them getting out of jail free, make it somebody else's problem.
I agree with that.
Leagues are cowards,
and I also agree with the rugby comparison, and that would bring a lot more transparency. I think the one thing that I've always felt has stopped football from going down that avenue is the type of fan and the vitriolic type of fan that is your average football fan compared to a rugby fan. I don't know about you guys, this may be a personal opinion, but a lot of the time if you see a crap decision in rugby, that media cycle blows over within a couple of hours and not a couple of days.
Yeah, I just think that the two sports are just too different. I think rugby's more set piece based. I've never physically played a game of rugby. You won't be surprised to learn. But right when I watch it, I'm like, this is like, it's a great sport to watch it, but it's organized chaos in the sense that you need the referee. The referee is the most important person on the pitch. He's the one who keeps the game flowing. Whereas from my experience playing football, even at low levels, like the referee is almost in the way in the sense that he kind of stops you from having fun or stops you from, it feels like he's another kind of opponent on the pitch in a lot of cases. So I don't know, I maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just looking at it differently, but if it's getting closer to rugby, I feel that's bad because it's taken the free-flowing nature out of it. And I just think the only way we can get some type of level playing field again is just to get rid of VAR. It won't happen, but that would be in my mind, the only solution. Like goal line technology works great. This new AI generated motion detection for offside, that's a good thing. But when VAR comes into it with subjective decisions, and when it's not consulted, which is the most frustrating thing, it just leads to paranoia and no longer talking about the football. Like the football is almost second to the VAR debate or the referee debate. So I would love to see VAR scrap because they're not good enough to use it, clearly.
I think just bringing live audio, I think that make the world of difference, as Killian alluded to earlier. Knowing that what they are saying is getting broadcasted worldwide makes their whole decision making totally different, because they know we're either going to get it right or get it wrong, and we'll deal with that after. But it will put them on the spot to try and get the right decision.
Like, I think if we are to keep VAR, personally, we need more refereeing personnel on the pitch. You know, like, I mean, like, why can't we have 6 refs on a pitch? Take out the financial aspect of it.
Go back to my idea. No refs on the pitch. All VAR. Having 6 or 8 refs, just all watching cameras. If you can do it for Eurovision with one director, get it into football. You'll have everything covered.
You are right there on my list of people that are getting killed this week, in line with Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville.
Well, we spoke about putting the referees on the spot, but one team that was put on the spot, quite literally, was Man United versus Coventry, going down to penalties, lads. Just, like, what a game, in fairness. Like, it shows why it's the beautiful game. It also shows why VAR isn't great for the beautiful game, because poor Coventry's hearts were broken. So, who wants the therapist's chaise lounge first?
Me. Their hearts were broken, but they were offside. Correct decision. We are through to an FA Cup final. I am buzzing. So
I've had toenails longer than that man was offside.
Hey, he was offside's offside. You know what I mean? Don't hate the player, hate the game.
That decision actually just shows how VAR, like, Man United are messing. VAR is such a mess. Like that United, like Wan-Bissaka's defending is the worst defending you're ever going to see. Like that's not even Sunday League level of defending. I can't even describe how bad that is to what he was doing there. That he wouldn't step up when everyone else steps up, and then for VAR to bail him out and to be denied this amazing last minute moment, and for Man United to be denied more embarrassment by Man City, because that's what's probably going to happen. Let's be honest. Like it's just a shame. That would have been probably the greatest comeback in FA Cup history. It would have been one of the greatest results anyone can remember, and it was taken away. And Man United didn't deserve it to be taken away. They deserved to get knocked out because they were a disgrace. Like I was checking here, I think it's the 12th time this season they've conceded 3 goals in a match. It's like the team is drunk the way they play. They're an embarrassment. They're more embarrassing than VAR. That's how bad it is. So. And I don't know what happened because I left at 3-0. I literally went for a walk and I was like, I've lost enough of my Sunday afternoon to Man United strolling into a final. I'm just going to go out of the house, get some fresh air. And when I got back, it was 3-3. So I'm annoyed at them as well that they couldn't have conceded while I was watching the game and keep me glued to the TV. So yeah, it was an embarrassment. Sorry, Nate.
Well, see, this is the thing I actually kind of want to get onto. One is the issue wasn't VAR; it's the terrible offside rule. Like,
what even is it anymore? Like I'm not even saying
lads. Come on.
It's in any amount of offside, whereas I think it should be like a ball over the line. It has to be a majority. Like
he's offside. Like if you gain advantage, he's offside. That is the rules. That is football.
If that is gaining advantage,
it is.
Oh my god!
He's ahead of the line. He's ahead. That is football. Is it not?
No, but that's what I'm saying. Is the issue isn't VAR. The issue is the rule, which I think is it Wenger that's trying to bring in a new version of it, where it's like you have to be 50% or more. Like it has to be an obvious offside, which kind of go to Rob's credit is the old way of doing it, because you were doing it by eye, not by.
So we have like rulers out there trying to see does he have 51% of his body across? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I think it's better than what it is now.
Do you know what I mean?
they used to give the advantage to the attacking player. Like, I think in this situation, the tie breaking should be Aaron Wan-Bissaka is horrendous at football and does not deserve to be bailed out here because it's the worst defending. I'm going to send you guys a screenshot even over here if I can. It's the worst defending you're ever going to see. He does not deserve to be bailed out there. So, yeah, I don't know. Whatever the rule is, it needs to be rewritten to prevent this.
Nate, the thing you have to keep in mind here, right? Okay, say it's FA Cup final. You guys are against City. Highland scored, and that gets taken off you. Is that offside now?
Honest to God, it's offside. Like, it is offside. Like, because I know the rules we're playing by. Like, if it's offside, it's offside. Like, and I don't know if my headspace isn't different. Like, if that came up as a United fella offside, I can't argue with it. Like,
Fair enough.
No, see, my issue with it is, as I say, it's the rule. Pippo Inzaghi did not die for this. That man was born offside, and like that's one of the nice things about football was the fine margins, and ultimately when you have that kind of basing it by eye, it was more about actually having an advantage in an offside position by being more towards the goal than the defender. Whereas now, like we've seen it how many times where it's like a fingernail, an eyelash, the little microbes that live in your hair. That's the difference of it. Like I think that's where the refereeing for VAR has made the issue, because they've gone way over the top on it. Like, how many times have we seen questioning over, is the camera in the right angle? Because if you look at this camera angle versus that camera angle, well, then the line's going to be different.
See, this is why I think we need to go back to the old way, man. Because, like, I know I sound like a football purist, but like, I was always of the opinion football needs controversy, and I know that's ironically a controversial opinion, but like, I think what makes these decisions harder to stomach is, like we said, the technology being there. Because back in the day, say Frank Lampard's goal that didn't count against Germany, you just kind of had to get on with it, and it played into the game, and the players were pissed off, and then it got spicier, and the games got better. You know,
that's the other thing. The last thing before we move on to the football is that another reason why VAR is so bad. It helps the big teams. Like, you can't have a shock result now, really. Yeah. Like, because a big team will rely on, a small team will rely on a little moment of luck to win a game. And Coventry did enough. They got United to 3-3, and I think they deserve that little bit of luck. And I don't think a toenail or wherever it is should be the difference between them going through and get Man United get knocked out. So that's the other side of it. I think it's meant to be fair, but I think it really is unfair because you can't get these little small margins. And it's just taking a lot of the good out of the game. But I'm happy to talk about football instead if you guys are.
Lads, I hate to break it to you, and you won't like me, but Manchester United win the FA Cup this season. All right, I hate to break it to you, but we are.
With their class of 2024.
Are we talking about on FIFA, or are we talking real life?
I don't know. I will just beat City in the final. I have a feeling.
Oh yeah, just beat City. Yeah, handy, easy. But like we've kind of gone straight to the orgasm. Let's go back to the foreplay a little bit. Like, how did they get to the position of like being so close to losing to Coventry, Rob?
It's just Man United. You can't explain it. Like, it used to be, it's Man United. This is what they do. They score last minute goals, or they find ways to win. Now it's just they will find a way to lose to anyone. They are capable of losing to any team. And as I said, in their matches this season, roughly 40-something games, they've conceded 3 goals in 12 of those matches. And it's like they're drunk. Like, it's incredible. There's no... Like, Casemiro, God love him, like, I've never seen a player... It's like he's seen out his notice in work, like he's on leave, like he's ready to just he's just phoning it in, really. So it really is. It's ideal, actually, probably for Jim Ratcliffe, really, when you look at it and the bigger picture, because Ten Hag is not going to work out. It hasn't worked out. There's no clear style of play. There's no identity. If he's brought anything to the team, it's hard to kind of notice. He doesn't get a tune out of him tactically. And mentally doesn't seem to really get a tune out. And the only one that's kind of improved really is maybe Dallo, but it's just not working. And then there's so many players there that's just not working either. So if United won't get top four. They probably won't beat City. Sorry, Nate. It's just a perfect chance for Ratcliffe just to kind of wipe the slate clean and start again, because this version of United is an ungodly mess. Like it's there's no logic or reason behind it. So yeah, I'm hoping this is the last days of the United banter era, because that would have been the peak banter era. It nearly was, but it was grim.
Lads, do you want to know a frightening stat? Yeah, this is our that was our 45th game of the season. We've had 40 different starting lineups this season, 28 different back fours, and 13 different centre back partnerships.
That's like something out of the NBA. Like that is an absolute joke.
We've played
Yeah.
the same team 5 times.
What I would say though, Nate, there's stuff coming out, and you might know, being maybe close to, of Ten Hag's training methods, like that he has them too physical. They're running too much. They're not. He's not giving them days off, wherever it might be. And I remember the story came out when they lost 4-0 to Brentford, that in his second match that he had them all do like a 10K run or something. I thought, geez, that's not the coaching of someone at the elite edge of the game. That seems a bit old school. So
That's Brian Clough stuff. That
if they're getting muscle injuries, which they are, and like, are the players he signed, they're getting injured, he has to take some blame for that. Like I don't get this. I don't buy into this idea that you're unlucky if you get injuries. If your player snaps his ACL, you go, okay, fair enough. But players are getting hamstring injuries or calf injuries and muscle injuries. You're like, well, that could be directly linked to the training, and that would be my guess with Ten Hag. It's directly linked to how they're trained, basically, without being on the inside.
I don't know if I buy that, like, just purely because, like, if it was such a big issue and dated back to the training, like, a stop would have been put to it already, but we're still getting the same injuries. Like, the medical team would have came in and put a stop to it 100%. So it's like, I don't know what the injuries are coming from, but
we've said it before, though. We've said it before, though, about United and getting in O'Driscoll from Arsenal, who Arsenal went through a period where they had very few injuries, and I think a lot was expected on what he could bring to the United setup. And you guys have more injuries than ever, and yes, you could blame a multitude of factors for that. Is it the training? Maybe. Is it the playing surfaces? Maybe. Is it the, I suppose, congestion of fixtures? Probably that too, but I do think it's a myriad of issues, and all of them are playing a part. But like even outside of United, like I do think there needs to be, or maybe there is in the FA this being done, but there needs to be some sort of study into what is going on.
Yeah, before we get into this last one on the injuries, like every team has them. Like Newcastle have had loads.
Oh, we got rinsed, yeah.
But Newcastle had like 17-year-old lads like Lewis Miley playing a couple of games in a row, whereas like Newcastle scored nearly 20 goals more than Man United in the Premier League this season.
65 though, 65 injuries. Like that.
Man United scored 60. Sorry, Newcastle scored 69 goals with a load of injuries. Like every single one of Newcastle's key players have been injured. Am I right, Connor? At some stage this season, other than maybe Gordon.
It's you look at us, you look at Chelsea, you look at Liverpool, you look at United. Yeah. Everyone's getting rinsed this year, and somehow we've managed to have a squad depth that somewhat works for us. But and that's not throwing shade at any other club. I think we've just been lucky.
Yeah. Whereas Man United scored 47 goals in the Premier League this season. They scored 58 last season. They concede as many as they score. Like I think there's deeper issues than injuries or bad luck, or even the players, some of them like moping around or wherever it might be. I just think we've had 2 seasons as manager, over 100 games, and it's clear as day it's not going to work. And he was never really of the elite level, and it kind of proves that if the Glazers wanted him, then he wasn't the right man, because the Glazers didn't know what they were doing, and that's why there's a new regime in charge now, and I can't see any way they persevere with him. I think he's done, even if he beats Man City.
I was just, Conor, you mentioned there O'Driscoll that they took from Arsenal, and like Arsenal had a good spell of like not having that many injuries. O'Driscoll was at Arsenal for what, 16 years or something?
Yeah,
and like there was a time, correct me if I'm wrong, kind of like 2010 to about 2015, where every Arsenal player ever was always injured. Like you had like Diaby always out, Rosicky always out, Johan Giroud always out, Miguel Silvestre always out, Almunia was always out. Like you had this squad that was always patchwork. And in fairness, this is the era when Wenger was getting fourth after fourth after fourth, and it became a joke. Yeah, like Wilshere coming through, and again, these could all be external things, but like, I don't know if having somebody like him with that experience is going to necessarily help a coach that seems to have these kind of Martin O'Neill-esque training methods, plus a lot of games. Put that all together, it's not a good mix.
I think you're right in terms of historically Arsenal had quite a lot of injuries. I think where it slightly changed for Arsenal in their fortunes was when he moved from club doctor to head of medical in 2017. That kind of 2017 through 2023, it seemed to get better. So I think he was involved in a system that had a lot of injuries, but when he was able to own the system, it seemed to decrease the volume of injuries. But regardless of the team, something needs to get looked into here, because like, I'm not trying to be a champion of players I'll never meet, but like, it's just not right, you know.
Yeah, and if even you move away from the injuries, we're looking at Ten Hag here, like Anthony's antics here today, and like the way he was goading the Coventry players. Like, Anthony's probably the least likable, one of the most least likable footballers in the Premier League, and he's definitely top 5 worst Man United signings I've seen, and I watched 100%. Him longer than I care to tell you guys. That has to come back to Ten Hag as well. Like, he actually had a part in €75 million. Like, €75 million. Think of that, like, going to Ajax to sign this guy.
Well, can we just appreciate that he's starting in your team, and Jadon Sancho is in the semi-finals of the Champions League?
Yeah, and that's another thing you could say. Like Sancho wouldn't be my cup of tea. I don't think he did great, but like, he obviously is talented, and Ten Hag couldn't get a tune out of him. And like, I seen a trade on Twitter.
He chose to sign Anthony over Kudus.
Sancho wouldn't be bothered to turn up to train, and that's the real.
Yeah. But I saw a thing, like a thread the other day on Twitter. People were like, some guy was like, I'm gonna name championship wingers who are better than Anthony, and there was loads of them. Sammy Smodics was in there, the New Ireland hero. I'm like, he probably is. Like,
Jack Clark would rinse Anthony.
Yeah.
I'm not having people having a go at him for getting in the face after the penalty.
You don't punch down, Nate. I think it's bad to punch down.
No.
That's where I think it's lacking class. Like, you don't punch down. You don't punch down. If it was, sorry, Nate. Do you remember Argentina and Netherlands in the World Cup quarterfinals? Argentina knocked them out, and all of the Argentinian players turned and started goading Netherlands because it'd been like a real hard fought game. They're two equals. That's shithouse. I want to watch that. I'm here for
all this.
But when you're doing it to lads who are on a fraction of what you're being paid, and
not even just that, it's a club that in the last 5 years was borderline on the brink of existence. Like, this was the biggest moment in about 15 years for Coventry. Coventry nearly didn't have a stadium. I think there might have even been in administration. The last time Coventry were worth talking about, I think Lee Carsley was playing.
lads. Okay, this is what This is what happened. The Coventry player went to the United fans, cupped his ear as if they weren't chanting anymore. That's number one. And then number two, Maguire was about to step up for his penalty, and they were all goading him walking up.
Because they have to do those things.
100%. But if you're going to give it, you're going to get it. Like, that's how I see it. Fair game is fair game.
That is like a 7-year-old doing step overs in front of you. So you
No. If they were doing that to me, I'd do 100% back. I am Anthony. I'm with you on this one.
No, listen.
Shows the caliber when Harry Maguire is the good guy here.
I'm telling you, lads, I would do it 100% back to them, because you get it as good as you give it, and that's just how it is. I don't care if you play for Coventry or Barcelona.
I just think Anthony's just a little cretin. Like, he'll do this to anyone. Like, he's just winding up everyone. I don't think we can say, he was trying to defend the United players or defend Harry Maguire. He's just a nasty little piece of work. He's going to do this anyway. He doesn't need an excuse. Like, so. No, I think Ten Hag should go back to Ajax and take Anthony with him. Like, the way transfers often work like that, you'd probably paid in installments. I'd just turn around to Ajax and go, listen, we probably paid you 40 million. Like, just take him back. Like, and you can have Ten Hag as well. Like, and we just call it a day. Like, you always won for Donny van de Beek. Like, it's like, let us have this and just take him back and just move on. Like, I think it was just classless now. I just don't think he can punch down, and I don't think he cares about the United
I
fans or
think
cares
that's it,
about
man.
Maguire. Maguire's the same guy he ignored. Remember on the pitch last year, Maguire come over to him to shake his hand or whatever after he scored, and he gave him like a dirty look, like who's this goon coming over to me here? So yeah, Anthony out. I have no time for that guy.
And it's nothing to do with celebrating, because like Hoyland celebrated after scoring the winning penalty, and he did it
Yeah.
with the fans, and that was like cool. You scored, you won the game. That's cool. You don't do what Anthony did. Like
You do, but they done it to you. It's game. Lads, you're not going to get me to move on this, all right? Because if it was me in that situation and they were doing that to me, I'd 100% do it back. So,
I love shithousery
haven't
more
done
than
it for
most
free.
men. I love it more than most men, and I can be a petty little bastard at the best of times. But when you play for Man United, I hate to say it, and it makes my skin crawl. You're expected to be better. You're expected to be a leader of the game. You're expected to be a bastion for the culture of the game. And when I don't care, as long as they're not doing anything that's like reckless in terms of assault or racism or anything like that, you take it on the chin, and as you walk down the tunnel, you have a good old laugh at their expense. But I don't think you do air cupping or anything like that.
lads,
Coventry's whole squad is worth less than what was paid for Anthony. Coventry's
Lads.
whole squad is worth 50 million.
we're really sitting here going, "Oh, poor little Coventry got a little crying face." Like, come on, lads, seriously. Like, they're not little children. Like, they can get over it. Like, it's not that big of a deal.
I think it's more what it says about United, though, Nate. That like that's the level they've been reduced to. That like they're golden championship players, like, and they're relieved to get through against a championship team, having been 3-0 up. So for me, this could be like the defining image of the last days of Ten Hag. Like if Anthony and just it was just embarrassing. That's
I totally
what I thought.
agree.
looking at it.
I totally agree.
On the overall general conversation, I think this may have actually gone under the radar, but I just thought we had to kind of mention it. Did anybody else notice that Martin O'Neill has been elected to the head of LMA, the League Managers Association?
Martin O'Neill.
Martin O'Neill has been elected chairman of the LMA.
Wow. I did not see that anywhere, and that is a cushy little gig for him now.
Martin O'Neill, who says go and play a five-a-side and that's your coaching, is going to be telling other coaches and representing them.
I mean, are you surprised? Any football institution at the moment seems to be deeply ingrained in bad decisions, or the FAI being a major component of that. So it doesn't surprise me that another governing body, or not even governing body, representative body is having a howler.
I like. Has anybody else listened to him on Talksport?
No.
No, I honestly thought he'd like kind of sailed into the sun somewhere up north.
I've been to enough O'Neill press conferences. I've heard enough from that man. But hit me. What did he say, Killian?
It is worth listening in, because rarely does he make sense, and he kind of sounds a little bit kind of hungover constantly. Yeah, I'd be worried about the managers going forward, because if this is going to be one of their advisories, it's not exactly a great look. Neither is Chelsea, because 5-0 against Arsenal at the time of recording. It's just after finishing. We said it before. I'm going to say it again. We need to get a Chelsea fan on just 100% to talk about what has happened, Nate.
As a United fan, I'm taking so much pleasure from seeing Chelsea struggle. It's just, it's almost like, this is where they kind of should be, in the mid-table and a banter club. Like, it's just because
where they used to be.
Yeah, that's it. They were so good for so long, and it's just hilarious to watch. Like this absolute state of the squad. Like, and I actually feel bad for Pochettino. I think they'd be closer to the relegation zone if he wasn't the manager. But yeah, he'll probably take the heat for this. But I think they're a joke, basically.
I have to say, we're looking at the scores when you run through them. So you got Trossard 2 by Ben White and 2 by Kai Havertz, and I saw a tremendous shithousery chant over the weekend aimed at Ben White, going, "Your spray tan is shite. Your spray tan is shite. Ben White, your spray tan is shite." So I'm kind of happy to see him come back in net too.
Benjamin White.
Benjamin White.
I ever since he came out and said, my name is Benjamin, not Ben, I want that man's career to fail. I honestly don't care. One of the interesting things coming out of Chelsea, though, I have to say, was Pochettino has kind of hinted that Lukaku could be involved next year. Is this going to be another false dawn for Chelsea and another false dawn for Lukaku? Like, Nate, you've had him at your club. Do you think his career is now done, or is he going to make a Premier League comeback next year?
I don't know what Lukaku is, right? Like, he's what? When's the last time he played in the Prem? 2 years ago,
Jesus.
3 years ago.
21, 22.
Yeah.
Was it not like
So
last? Yeah, the year before last. Yeah.
Yes, like, to be honest, I think he's a bit past it now, isn't he? He's been in Italy living the high life. Like,
Never has a player looked more like the Turkish league.
Yeah.
he'll be at AC Milan next year. Like, that's weird. He's just making his way around the Italian clubs.
Speaking of Italian clubs, actually, did you see Giroud has signed for LAFC as of today? Heads over in the summer, 18-month contract.
Yeah, and actually, another one that kind of passed me by was, do you know Alexis Sanchez is back at Inter? And Inter have just won the Serie A. So Alexis Sanchez is winning titles.
Take that, United fans.
And Arnautovic as well. It's like a few Premier League outcasts in their squad.
It's insane. It's actually so, like, I just don't get it. And do you know what else we don't get? Is an Ireland manager. Until the summer now. I know we hinted about it in our intro, but yeah, no manager now until the summer.
Me and Connor called it. Can we have our flowers, please?
Bouquets have been arriving at the door all week. We called this absolute catastrophe that is the FAI. Obviously, Hill's gone. Canham has to go. Won't go. It's a jokes aside. It's genuinely worrying the position we're in and the lack of, again, akin to the referees chat, just the accountability. It's coming out and saying we kind of misjudged the timelines and we probably shouldn't have made an announcement. That's just simply not good enough in any way.
And the fact now that players are coming out and criticising it is a really bad look, Rob.
Oh yeah, it's a disgrace. Like, so to come out with a pre-record hostage video on a Friday, like, that's terrible. Like, if you're going to do that, sit down a group of journalists. He didn't want that, obviously, because it'd be grilled, but it just looks terrible. They can't manage the message. They can't control any narrative. Like, people are saying, they were praising them, kind of saying, well, there's no leaks coming out because there's no progress being made. You don't know who they're going to appoint. He should just appoint John O'Shea because there's no one else. There's no one else, and I don't think there's anyone else is going to emerge. And he did say, Canham said that the market, he said something about like how the market is competitive. What he means there is like, listen, lads, we're absolutely smashed and we can't really afford anyone.
We're
broke. Like, I think he's like 600k, which is probably what Roy Keane was getting to be an assistant to O'Neill. Like, they're not going to get anyone, and it's not like the team are ranked 60 odd in the world, and we haven't won a game in God knows how long. So it's looking pretty bad. Like, I would just probably give it to O'Shea because he is a human. He's a manager. Like, he's Irish. He's a nice fella. Like, just let him do it.
The Allardyce podcast.
No, actually,
no.
It's worth a listen. So like he kind of talks about it, and he was like, this is my 30-something year being involved in Ireland as a player and now as a coach. And like, he obviously really feels for it. He also really feels for Sunderland because I thought that was an interesting part of the conversation. Like, he's a lot more articulate about the managerial end of things, and he was a lot more willing to talk about, like, when he was at Birmingham like with Rooney, and he kind of talks about that a little bit. But then he also mentions about when Mowbray came in and talking about the structures at Sunderland, and he's kind of criticizing Sunderland for not having enough youth and experience blended. So it's kind of like giving these little hints about how he could imagine things in the long term. But like, I was actually watching it kind of thinking, I would love to see John O'Shea as a manager if you had Big Sam as his assistant.
Oh,
like,
Jesus.
But I think this is something that modern football is actually missing. Like if you look back at say like Peter Reid at Sunderland, late 90s, early 2000s, he had Bobby Saxton, who was like 15 years older than him, as his assistant. We have all these guys that are just becoming managers with nobody to show them the ropes. Whereas before, you had your time as a manager, you became an assistant manager, and then you retired. What's happening now is you have the likes of Big Sam with their egos that just want to be a manager forever.
But all that
And
happens there, I think, is, and I like the concept of someone with more experience being in an assistant manager role and guiding through the next generation of managers. But I think all that happens there is after, say, O'Shea goes through a crap qualification or we lose a load of games in the trot, they'll just go, Jesus, all right, cheers, John, thanks for the effort, Big Sam, there's your job. And it's back to square one, you know?
Yeah, I don't know if he can afford Big Sam. I think Mick McCarthy might be that role. That you think he was in the squad when O'Shea was there. He kind of came in and talked to the players, but maybe he would do it. But it doesn't look like it will be O'Shea because Canham kind of inadvertently ruled him out. Because if he was to take it now, it would be probably embarrassing because
Yeah.
he's not even he's not even on the shortlist because it doesn't seem to be a shortlist. And then he said like, "Oh, we'll get in touch with John and ask him if he wants to be the interim manager in June." But you haven't even asked him yet. You think they would at least do that before they do the little interview? So I wouldn't trust him to
it's
do
going to be like
anything.
jury duty that everybody gets like a sign up to be the next interim manager for the national team.
Maybe we should just not play football for a while. Like just not bother. Like just reset. Like we done well. We were sixth in the world in 1993. Got to World Cup quarter final. FAI is just disband it, start again, and then maybe in a couple of years we can go back and play it again. I don't know. Maybe we'll have a United Ireland team or something. But that organisation doesn't look capable of finding a manager. So I don't know what's going to happen. I wouldn't be paying to go watch them play anyway.
Fun fact: who was like the first sole Irish manager?
What year are we talking here?
More recent than you'd want.
I think I know this.
I think the man is still alive.
Jack, no, what about Jack Charlton's dead, so it can't be him.
It wasn't Giles. It was someone before Giles.
Oh God, this is annoying me.
I'm pretty sure about this. So,
Famous last words.
yeah.
Okay, give it to us. I don't think we're getting it.
Owen Hand. I think he was the first proper sole manager because before that there was like Alan Kelly Senior, but I think he was kind of part of a committee because before that it was all committee or like player managers and stuff. So it was always this kind of like caveat where I think he was the first one to actually kind of just manage.
All of our listeners, that is your homework for this week. Learn up on Owen Hand.
I actually think it was a guy called Mick Megan.
Mick Megan.
Sorry, Killian. Yeah, that's what my Wikipedia is telling me here. Mick Megan. Get him back. Oh, wait, actually. Sorry, he passed away in 2022, age 88. But who else? What former manager could we get in?
We're really going down that route. It's grim pickings. It really is. And
I still think that we could be a lot more clever. And I don't mean by just going for coaches. I think we should look to the women's game and like if we can get Harvey Renard, I'd absolutely take him. Like I think there is like look at what John Herdman for Canada. Who's brought through a very strong team with Jonathan David and Alonso Davies, and he was the assistant coach for Canada, and before that he was the women's coach. So like I think we need to get a little bit more kind of
I've absolutely no problem with that.
Thinking as a nation, Nate. What do you think?
Yeah, lads, to be honest with you, like this process has just tired me out with Ireland. It's like it's been exhausting. I just think they pushed it further down the line, and us as fans just want it done now. It's like there's no middle ground whatsoever, and I think it's just gonna be a long couple of months, and I don't think we're gonna get the result that we want.
I'll be honest, lads. I thought we were so close to finishing a pod without having to talk about the FAI. We got so close, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. It's inevitable. It's always gonna happen. Until probably won't next week unless there's another scandal. But about next week, we can only know what's going to happen then on our next episode. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me this evening.
Fun as always, boys.
Been a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Messi. Oh my goodness! Balotelli.